So this is something that Astra Space is working on now
Yep.
and bringing to the world. When do you think you would be able to launch this?
Well, we've designed the satellites, and we now have the propulsion systems that are able to keep the satellites in space, and we're excited to find partners that are interested in building that infrastructure in space.
It's so exciting. If you think about it, being able to manage data in space on essentially micro servers that are microsatellites allows you to actually compute in space.
Yep.
And one thing that brings is you operate under space law, not terrestrial laws. That's one advantage. And you could also move the entire blockchain to space itself.
Yep. I mean, if you think about, people have been climbing to the tops of mountains for millennia.
Yeah.
They've been putting watchtowers, they've been putting radio antennas more recently. Space is just one click higher. You know, it's the ultimate high ground. And if you get high enough, you can travel around the world and you can be out of the jurisdiction of any country's sovereignty.
Amazing. A whole new type of sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's very exciting. In this kind of market where you have a downturn happening, this is something you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
As I invest, as an early stage investor, I do better in a down market because there's less competition, less easy capital, the valuations are a little more sane. But we also see that the greatest entrepreneurs really rise up and show themselves most during a downturn.
Yep.
And I want to get your thoughts on grit, perseverance, and how you instill that culture into a company that has scaled to this point so quickly.
Well, I think it really starts with, why are you doing the thing you're doing? Right? If there's truly an opportunity to improve life on Earth from space, like if we think that a network, a global network that's open, that any country can participate in, is good for humanity, and your people and your investors believe in that vision that you're trying to create, a down market's great, because the great ideas will always find investors, and they'll always find great employees. And so to some degree, it's easier in the down markets because it weeds out all of the hype and all of the competition for talent, where people are really just focused on money. If you're focused on mission versus just money, you'll be able to inspire the really talented people to come in and work really hard during the downturn.
Absolutely. Mission-oriented companies always outperform companies who are more interested in profit or other goals. This reminds me of a talk by Jeff Bezos when he was talking about the 7-year business miracle that happened when they started to work on AWS, and there was a downturn after the dot-com crash. And he said every one of his competitors was defocused, not focused on this opportunity in cloud computing, and they were given 7 years head start. And I feel this could possibly be happening with you in this idea of AWS in space during this time, that it's harder for competitors to raise money.
I mean, we can hope. I mean, we've built a lot of the really core technologies. If you look at launch, for example, Astra is only one of 4 companies that has demonstrated the ability to put satellites in low Earth orbit that's been privately funded. You know, we have SpaceX originally, Rocket Lab, Astra, Virgin. That's it.
That's it.
And there's a bunch of people trying, and there's a bunch of people that'll get very close. But it's just like Amazon was the first. It is helpful to be early.
Right.
But it's also important that you have a purpose for what you're doing.
Right.
And I think we have those both.
Now, you and I joke, space is very hard. So rocket science in space is hard.
Yep.
But you pointed out that actually doing micro rockets and smaller rockets is even harder.
It is, yeah.
And you talked about a number of the companies that have attempted to do this. Talk about that and why that is.
Right. I mean, it truly is challenging. The last 8 small rocket launches from nation states have failed. So it is certainly not easy to build a machine that operates in the regime that a rocket does. You know, it's traveling at its peak velocity, over 15,000 miles an hour. And when you look at the resources that it requires to just do that once, if you look at the companies that have done it, a handful of times per year, and we're in that group, but there are really no companies other than SpaceX that have done it at scale, that have actually seen, a launch a week, or a launch several times a week, or several launches within a few days.
Right.
That is if you compare that to the airline industry, hundreds of thousands of airplanes take off and land every day at airports. How many rockets take off and land every day at spaceports? Typical days, none, right? So space is such a new domain, and there are so few companies that have mastered that domain. Even the European Space Agency and NASA have very infrequent launches when compared to SpaceX. And so really the key is to do something hard and then scale it.
Right.
You know, so it's not just about being able to do it, it's about being able to do it every day.
Right.
And that's really hard because it requires the upfront capital to scale production, it requires quality and systems reliability engineering, and that next level of investment truly is tremendously challenging. And you know, we're in that transom between doing it a couple times and trying to do it at scale reliably.